especially young people. We have young people that are in Cross River that are processing cassava. So we want them also to process this.
Do you have a shop here in Calabar?
In Calabar, no, but then we are also open to distributorship and collaborations. Mama is here in Cross River in Calabar.
I think that I don't know. There's something that is going on in this state. Where's the chairman of Cassava Growers Association? Anybody from
now?
I'm here. There are people who are processing the.
Let's just move backward.
Into this process, even in process. All what we need is exchange business. You take some young people from ADP, Cross River, young people who are into cassava and all of that, take them to Osun or the West where this is being done. They see how these things are being done. Also, the way they have come for this exhibition, you also bring them to spend 1 or 2 weeks with the farmers here, helping them to get through this process. That's how we exchange knowledge.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's not a complex thing. It's just because we do not have the knowledge and understanding. So it makes it look so difficult. Under our school feeding program in Cross River, there are young people who are producing something similar. The only problem we have is the market for it. So that kind of exchange and that kind of platform will open up the space. I don't know if West James, whether Harvest was on there. Okay, we are here. We were just talking about knowledge management in matters like this. You understand? Taking people from Osun to come and demonstrate this and take our young people the other way to also see how this is. It's very, very important. Yes. Even if they spend 1 week, 2 weeks, you know, that kind of thing, exchange, it makes plenty of sense.
Yes, for this week, we are here to do training both in cultivation and processing. And then from that, we can now do the exchange.
Yes.
So now that's what we for the next 1 week we are here.
Okay. Okay.
That is not something that I was trained by Harvest Plus.
So that's
Yes, I was trained by Harvest Plus. I spent 1 week with Harvest Plus. And this is what my father.
How do you get your process?
This is Gary. This is Gary. This is Gary. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that
Just
can be
as
worked
you are
out. That's the meaning of this
processing
kind of
normal
thing.
Gary, you harvest it.
How many tons or whatever do you process
Sorry.
in a week?
In a week. Well, in a week, since I produce like 3 tons, 2 tons a week over there.
That's about
Obobra.
how many basins? 1 ton is 3 basins.
No. 1 ton is
10 bags.
100
Okay,
kilo.
10.
So 100 kilo is 3 business.
That's 30.
So he produces about 30 business.
In a week.
And the problem I have is that I share with the man sometimes. You know, since there is no this awareness and sensitization, when the market people buy the garri, they will mix up with ordinary garri. So I was suggesting that because when we went for the training, they say they should establish a stop-off shop in each local government for to place all this vitamin. If you need it in Udupani, you have a shop that you process your thing. If you need it in Ubobra, you have a shop that you
How can you, I don't know, how can you get rid of these shafts and, to make it smoother?
The shaft is part of it from inside the cassava.
Because now why some people, like you mentioned in the Bulgari,
It's very now. You can see
And this is the chinchin from vitamin A cassava.
My dear, listen.
This
This can be done better. You can do it without, and it is the equipment, the processing that's actually so you need to have that kind of. Okay. Well done.
And this is
What's this?
okay. This is the floor. I will produce this. This is
Gary.
and this one is floor. This is cassava.
Sorry, this one from cassava.
Yeah, this is
Vitamin A cassava.
yeah.
Then why this one? Why white?
It's not white.
because it is not white actually.
The natural fat.
Yeah.
The natural fat. The chaff is not bad. This is because it's fiber.
This is the odorless food.
Which
So,
one is
Honorable
this one?
Commissioner,
Is
that
it
is
garlic?
part of why
Oh, this one fufu?
processors, especially small processors,
I think this is
support.
Just like
It's flour. It's flour.
Undergone a
Flour.
You can use it to make cake
Yes, yes,
and
yeah.
or fufu.
This package
Just
is
like
made
you
in
have
China.
wheat flour.
Exactly.
So
Oh,
if
so maybe
they can be supported, then they can process and package, supported with packaging. Okay, by subsidizing it for them, because they cannot afford.
Is it your product?
For that.
Have you ever approached the microfinance bank? Government will not that way.
So
Government has set up a microfinance bank for these kind of financial assistance. And right now, the Fabrication Academy is almost, in fact, I think it's starting off. Just that the NSAS protest destroyed most of the facilities. Yes. So, but we need this knowledge. We need this knowledge to apply. You know, yes, the kind of equipment that we need to give us internationally accepted standards. We need to get them to, and that's why I agree with Roy that this exchange is very good. And I believe that Harvest Plus and Gain will help us to advocate. You know, we have an incubation center, not state-owned, but federal owned. We have it on the, I'm sure you know where it is. Do you know where it is? It's off Harbor. It's there. The problem is knowledge. These things are all here.
access to information.
Access to
Part of the,
information.
this is part of why we are.
That is very critical. So Harvest Plus, we have Westgate. Collaboration. I think we have further discussion.
Okay, that's fine.
Because we need to get people to know.
And we are very now, you know, what is happening now? We have small, micro, and macro processors. And we have a small instead of us coordinating with them, all they have, the best something to eat. This is green money. This is green money. And if you are coming to the States and you don't identify those, there's a lady that came to me now in the state doing all this. They're giving her 10 million. 10 million a year. The lady. She's packaged all
We understand that there are various sources of money.
yeah.
And I mean, we just have to sensitize our entrepreneurs. And then we talk about collaboration. That's why I have been planning and people and go every place, bring them in, let them be exposed to this idea. Some of them are in one particular business. They don't know they can actually bring money from there, expand and invest in this organization. So that is what I am working on. And that's where I really would need your assistance.
And the ministry too has a everything that can now assist you. You know?
My company. Also, of it microfinance. It's been on the news everywhere, platforms. It's on a Marian Road, Cross River State Microfinance Bank, and it's actually set up for this kind of thing. Please, let's avail ourselves.
This is the problem we have here. We were having an grower here in the botany on this cassava. But the people there, they say the cassava is good, they don't like it. Which means we need more sensitization.
That's what I want to say. You need sensitization. Like whatever we are doing, that is why it's the same thing.
They
But you
look at
see,
it.
you cannot stay in your small farm and think you tell the world what to do. You have to come out.
Sensitization is
So
key.
now you have come. We have to see you, we have to, present this and then get this information across. Otherwise, people are living in their old ignorance. I asked, why is it yellow? I asked, because I know the color is white, and yes, color is yellow. People don't understand what it's saying, except to the extent. So we picked it up. We need to do more outreach. The information Thank you very much. What is this?
This is
The packaging is very
excellent, excellent.
And we always have workshops on packaging. We always do that.
Okay, that is for food.
Yes.
The heads of the farming associations, you got to disseminate this information too. The heads of, you got to let the information be disseminated so that they know. When we hold these workshops, packaging is critical. This is ready for export. And I don't know the expiry date. How long is it? 12 months.
It's
And the information is here. We can do this. We can do this.
Thank you.
And I have a
What's this, madam?
It's other the variety of
Oh, no.
there are up to 7 varieties.
I'll take that.
But there is a one that has a long dry matter.
This next is a group photograph, please.
Because many people that do
After the inspection.
they say it has a dry matter, they abandon it.
Honorable Commissioner, group photograph.
Formal launch of the Cross River State Bio-Certified Crops program. And this is a program that is being assisted by Harvest Plus and by GAIN. And the essence is to ensure that cross-riverians are exposed to highly nutritious food because nutrition is critical in prosperity, in good health, longevity, and indeed in industrialization. So what we have just concluded is a formal launch of that committee to go ahead and ensure that cross-variants are exposed to healthy food.
All right, now, in time past, such programs or other programs like this will be launched, and that ends the news and all that. So what steps do you think government would take to ensure that these remain lasting and cross-riverians actually benefit from this launch?
I think the problem is always thinking what steps government will take. Always pushing the responsibility to government. I think it's not actually right. Maybe that's why it's failed, according to you in the past. We've been brought out here, most of the people who are partaking here are not government. They are entrepreneurs. They are agro-business people. They are farmers. And so, this is a responsibility that behoves cross-riverians to practice. It is in the interest of our health and our society and our own prosperity. So what government does is just to create enabling platforms. We are the ones to drive. And I believe that as we come and listen and sensitize, disseminate the information, people would get up and take the bull by the horn.
Okay, but in addition to that, do you think in the next 10 years, the government will be able to drive this bio-fortified food so that
cross-riverians, you don't leave it. It's not about government.
No, but when you say that,
it's not about government.
Yes, you say that the government will drive the initiative so that others will follow. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. That do you think the government will be able to drive the initiative in the next 10 years that Cross River State, instead of relying on the subsistence farming, of maybe this bio.
That is exactly what this present government has been doing. The agricultural evolution that has been initiated by this government is second to none. And the various options, opportunities of building capacities to drive this process has been put in place. Apart from what the federal government is doing through the intervention of the various agencies of central bank, the Cross River State has also opened up new vistas to enable us, cross variants, access funding to build up our business. The Cross River State Micro Finance Bank, for instance, is there. And we just have to wake up. The governor, His Excellency Professor Ben Ayade, has done so much in the area of rice food chain, in the area of maize food chain, in the area of poultry, you know, and we must rise up to the occasion. Please, I just want to tell cross variants, let us not always sit back and say, what is government doing regarding this, regarding that. Government will bring out the policy. Government will create enabling environment. The way we see the governor right now fighting criminality is to ensure that you can go to our farms. It's not easy. It's not been easy. The way we are trying to put together these communities to live at peace with each other. See, these are not what government will come and say, don't fight, or and say you don't fight with your brother. Community clashes, that is what we, even as clan heads, village heads, traditional rulers, should be able to ensure. Even as youths, who are the ones that fight these battles? It's the youths, most times. So we have a lot to do. Governments will set the pace, put down the policies, but I tell you, we must arise and take our destinies. These development partners have come. Cassava, for instance, think about vitamin A cassava. The stem cuttings have been procured by government to distribute to farmers. So we should be the ones to drive this process, sustain this process. This particular government will go, another one will come, but the private sector remains. So the private sector has a lot to do, and I see cross variants, the farmers are so determined to push.
Right, but talking about exports.
How do you educate them? How do you educate them?
They all belong to associations. You don't, these days, you work effectively through collaborations. You cannot sit solo and think you will. Things have changed. Even the farming methods have changed. It's no more that basic mechanized farming. Now we are doing farming digital. And if you stay back as a small, local farmer in your subsistence backyard farming, you won't go far. So you've got to belong to cooperatives. You've got to belong to clusters. There are farming clusters. And government or development agencies that deal with farmers in clusters, in associations. So I want those local ones to register. Register and make sure that you work as a team. That's the way out.
Okay, but it's a good opportunity for us to have this space. My office has been inundated with several questions. The state government, as a key player in this government, initiated the socialization policy. So many industries around town. They are scared that these industries are not complete. They have half and half. Do you think that this government will complete all this project before the terminal date?
I really don't know which of those that are not completed. The rice seed and seedling factory has been in operation. You know, we sit down here and criticize, and outsiders come in their numbers to procure from us and take away. The garment factory had been in business for a very long time. Kalachika, we got the factory and we've seen the product. We want to encourage farmers. We need chicken to process in Kalachika. We need you to bring the chicken. We need the farmers to go into poultry farming, not just the little backyard one. Collaborate and bring organic chickens. I don't know, the other factories, the cocoa processing factory is about 95%. And that means in no time we are ready. And it is for us to prepare ourselves. Most of these factories are not going to be, in fact, they're not going to be run by governments. The governments are understanding our financial predicament, came on board and began to put up these industries to be given back to us. Are we prepared to run them? Whichever way we're trying to decide, is it privatization, is it concession, is it shareholding? But my own message is cost variance, be more aware and prepare yourself and, just ensure that you locate yourself to not only thrive, but also to benefit from the massive job creation opportunities, the massive prosperity opportunities. I want us to get up and get moving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no central price regulating agency regarding vitamin A. So when we think the market environment will decide for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Roy Darrell.
Okay.
Sorry, sir, what's the position?
The portfolio.
Well, I'm currently working as a consultant, private consultant.
All right, sir. We are aware that all what is happening now in the hall was a sort of your brainchild far back 2010 when you were still in government.
Yes.
So what inspired this?
Well, I think that for Cross River State, government has been very focused. And as far back as 2010, it was the thinking of government then to work towards ameliorating hunger, reduce malnutrition, encourage increased food production. And the state food and nutrition committee was actually put together to help drive that policy of government. And as far back as 2010, the committee initiated a number of programs, including what you have as social safety nets today. We also went to the point of intervening on malnutrition, even at healthcare level, healthcare facility level. And that committee also started promoting school feeding and school farms, demonstration farms, because these were programs that were there before us. In those days, almost every school had a farm. Almost every school had lunch time where children were given the opportunity to eat a meal or something. So I think the whole philosophy was to go back to those programs that helped in health, education, because with school feeding, you can improve retention by almost 60%. Just school feeding. And most children will go to school because they expect to eat lunch at school. So these programs were actually being driven by the committee.
Okay, so do you think that, especially for the biofortified staples, and do you think there is a specific sector that can ensure that this process is being driven in the state? Like whether in the government, whether the NGO, whether do you think a specific one that is quite required?
First and foremost, I think that government's primary responsibility is to create the enabling environment. That is government's primary responsibility. What we have been hoping to achieve is to have a very strong private sector driving the entire concept. And I need to explain this. Government is already overburdened by too many programs. So one of the ways we can address some of these issues is if we can encourage the private sector. Now, how do we do that? Already, in Cross River State, there was a huge CBN intervention program. That program was supposed to enhance and enable food production, agriculture. Currently, we are aware of a number of programs also being initiated by the Central Bank of Nigeria and NISA. All of those initiatives are to encourage private sector participation. Now, because we do not have a well-coordinated economic system that caters for everybody, we are now promoting clusters, cooperatives, groups, because those will be more reliable lending structures for farmers in rural communities. So, yes, the private sector can drive this. I can say that categorically. But we need the enabling environment. We need to have access to finance for the rural farmer. We need to make sure that young men and women can have access to funding to support their initiatives that will add value to what is going on today.
Okay, sir, adding to that, can you tell us the percentage of biofortified food that we have across Cross River State and Nigeria, and the percentage we'll be expecting in the next 10 years?
Okay, first let me clear this. If you recall, I made a statement there that when we had the United Nations Food Systems Exploratory Dialogue in Cross River for Cross River, Akwa Ibom and Rivers, His Excellency the Deputy Governor made a request that data is very important to us. One of the biggest challenges we have in the country today is that we are not working with numbers. So you can't even explain the direction of production. You can't even explain the direction of consumption. So what you just have is that we produce without knowing what we are producing. We consume without knowing the volume of what we are consuming. So I think that with regards to speaking to specific numbers, it will be slightly challenging. But what Harvest Plus has done, it has shown clearly that looking at 5-member households, they are reaching almost 4.5 million Nigerians already in the states they are working in. And if we extrapolate that by the total number of population, they are almost getting to 22 million Nigerians. That is data from their own operational model. You get what I mean? There may be clusters of interventions around the country, and the data, we are not working on them. So what we need to look for now is to see if we can elevate our data collection and management system in such a way that we can speak to the entire value chain of any commodity or product.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Please, I can see your name again, please.
Yes, my name is Roy Lavema.
Require a formal
Introduction. Okay.
Yes.
My name is Venerable Augustine Okwa, JP. I am the state chairman of the Nigerian Cassava Growers Association, Cross River State.
Okay, sir. With what is going on today for the biofortified cassava, do you think it's a welcome development that everyone needs to embrace, both from the government, private stakeholder, and even the farmers in the rural areas?
Well, indeed, it's a privilege for Cross River State to be among the states to be taken or to be picked as those to multiply this biofortified cassava because of the nutritious contents of the cassava. You see, yes, Cross River State has been positioned as the #1 producer of cassava in the world, but we have not really taken advantage of what we have because one, the variety that we cultivate. We are talking of food security, which is the essence of this program, food security. If we are talking about food security and nutrition, I think the biofortified cassava is a welcome idea because what we have been eating in time past, the white cassava that we have been eating, not that it's bad, but the processing method is unhealthy because the way we produce here, we don't allow it to ferment, to remove the cyanide content. We just get from the farm, we fry, we peel, after peeling we begin to fry and sell. It is not healthy. And that is why you find out that our old women, they will add oil to the cassava, just to give it that fortified nature of the yellow, that vitamin A because of the oil. So now through research, we've been able to include that vitamin A into the cassava so that you don't need to add oil again. So we want to encourage from the government, both the state, the local government, and the farmers themselves to go more for the biofortified cassava because of the nutritious content. It helps to build our immune system. It builds the immune system even for the children, the pregnant women. When they use it builds their immune system. So I think it's a welcome development for us in Cross River State.
Okay, so even in planting of cassava, even the old cassava, the non-fortified cassava, there are challenges that you must have been facing. Yeah. Then coming with the biofortified cassava, in which maybe it may be expensive for the farmer to farm or to cultivate. Do you think are there challenges, like well-known challenges, pictorial challenges that you need to be addressed, government or any district?
Well, yes, the known challenge that we have that is plaguing the farmers, the cassava farmers, we're talking of commercialized nature of this, either the biofortified or even the white cassava. When you talk of commercialized, we're talking of from 5 hectares and above. And now the challenge we're having is the challenge of the herdsmen. The herdsmen issue is a major problem. When somebody spends money to cultivate 5 hectares, then at the end of the day you have nothing to show for it. So we want to appeal to the government, because on our own we cannot do it. For us to be able to meet that commercialized nature, the issue of herdsmen needs to be addressed. Then also the issue of land. No individual will have the ability of having to himself 5 hectares or more for the commercialized nature. So we need government to help us in the area of land clearing. We might have this land, but our land being a rainforest area, we should not compare ourselves with the northern Nigeria that have vast land. Here we have the challenge of land clearing, soil, and all the rest. So these are the challenges we want government to look into for us, the cassava farmers, for us to be able to meet the commercialized nature of this product. Then the issue of stems. A lot of our stems right now are old stems. We have up to 4-5 generation stems, meaning that even when you cultivate them, it will not give you the desired yield. So we now appeal to government, if we cannot phase out the old one, let them begin to introduce in the new ones, the new cassava cottons, maybe buy them in bulk from IITA and sell it to the farmer at a subsidized rate. Those are some of the challenges.
So looking at the issue of herdsmen, can you throw more light? How has it affected the production rates and the cost of Gary? Because I remember just yesterday night, I bought 1 cup of Gary for 100 naira. Yes. And Cross River State is priding itself as the largest producer of cassava worldwide. Yes. So can you throw more light on this?
Yes, the issue of the herdsmen the problem of the herdsmen have really affected our production. In Cross River State, as we stand now, I tell you, we have a lot of challenges of the herdsmen, especially the northern Cross River area, and that has really affected our production. That is why Gary can go as far as 100 naira a cup. You understand? So the government need to be very proactive concerning this issue of herdsmen. Let them have ranches. Let them buy land. Even in Cross River State, I'm not against us having ranches. They are Nigerians. You can accommodate them. But let their cows be in ranches, not scattered all over the place. So it's a big challenge to us.
Okay, in terms of processing and also export, are there challenges also that need to be addressed in terms of process? Because planting is a different thing. Then processing this cassava to a standard or having a lot of processing factories across the state will actually help, and also in terms of exporting the
yes, cassava. You see, our cassava cannot leave the shores of Cross River or the shores of Nigeria because of the processing method. We don't have enough processing machine to process us for export. So what we want is let government help us establish processing machines in some of these senatorial districts. Like now, we are to supply flour to America and any other country that is interested. But where is the processing machines? So we need processing machines. We need processing machines in each of the senatorial districts. What we have on the road eating is being produced by old women. Some of these garris are not even dried up to the level to take away the water content from it.
Okay.